After having studied the modifiers, now it's time to apply them to the SAT. So the following four types of modifier errors occur very frequently on the SAT. The first one is the dangling modifiers modifying phrases at the beginning of sentences. So on the SAT you will find sentences wherein the first phrase, the initial phrase or the introductory phrase which is demarcated by a comma with the rest of the sentence, which is the main clause or the independent clause, has got modifying errors. So let's look at a sentence. Swimming towards the shore, a girl was building a sand castle. So here two simultaneous things seem to be happening. Swimming towards the shore, the girl was also building a sand castle. Now this cannot be the case. A girl cannot be swimming towards the shore as well as build a sand castle along with that same activity. So there are two ways to correct this error. Obviously, we will be given a set of correct answers on the SAT. This is for the understanding sake that we can fix this one using two fixes. The first one is replacing the incorrect noun as in this one, the little girl. Obviously, there has to be a noun out here with the correct one. So swimming towards the shore, I saw a little girl building a sand castle. This seems to be correct. And the second one turned the introductory phrase into a clause. So as I swam to the shore, a girl was building a sand castle. So as I swam to the shore, right? So this becomes a dependent clause because obviously it starts with a preposition. As I swam towards the shore, a little girl was building a sand castle. So two fixes, fix 1 and fix 2. And in both cases, the dangling modifier has to be handled by introducing a subject, which in this case is I. The next kind of error that you might encounter on the SAT is the misplaced modifier, wherein the modifier is not next to the modified. So the modifier has to be next to the modified. Right at the beginning of the sentence, you might find this kind of an error. So spread by rat fleas, millions of people in medieval Europe were killed by bubonic plague. Now spread by rat fleas. Now you need to have what is being spread by rat fleas just adjacent to what the subject is or what the modified is. So what is being modified by spread by rat fleas? It is the bubonic plague, and hence the bubonic plague has to be near the rat fleas. So let's look at our options. Millions of people in medieval Europe, so this cannot be an option. The bubonic plague has to come somewhere. So most probable answer probably is D and E. Most probable answers that I can see are D and E. Let's read through D and E. Bubonic plague in medieval Europe was why millions of people were killed, and bubonic plague killed millions of people in medieval Europe. Answer E looks to be the most convincing for me. Again, a case of misplaced modifier, error number 3, but this time the misplacement or the placement of the modifier is in the middle of the sentence, not really at the beginning. So look at this one. Waiting for the crucial trial to begin, the anxiety Neil felt was almost overwhelming. So waiting for the crucial trial to begin, who felt the anxiety? It was Neil. So that has to come. So the thumb rule is very simple, that the modifier will always be next to what is being modified. So the modifier will be as close to the modified as possible. In this one, hence, Neil has to somehow or the other come here. So let's see, Neil's anxiety could be an answer. The anxiety, no. Neil again could be an answer. The anxiety, no anxiety. So the most probable answers could either be A or it could be C. So let's read now. Neil's anxiety felt almost overwhelming. So did anxiety actually feel overwhelming? No. Neil felt almost overwhelmed with anxiety is the most logical way of putting it. So the answer should be C. And last one, the last kind of error that you might encounter for modifiers on the SAT is the ambiguous dangling modifier, wherein the subject is ambiguous. It may not be I. The subject may be anything and ambiguous. Let's look at an example. She was concerned about how Hank would react to the incident, but in searching his face, he did not seem to be at all embarrassed or troubled. Wow. So, in searching his face, now in this one, it looks like somebody is searching his face, or he himself, Hank, he himself is searching his face. And it may not be I or me or the seer who actually is searching the face. So, very ambiguous sentence. In searching his face, definitely not the way we can write it. In searching his face, no, definitely not a good answer. By searching his face, it showed that he was not no. A search of his face, a general search of his face could be a right answer. Searching, again no, and again no. So the most probable answer to this one, or the most likely answer to this one, is definitely a C. So these are the 4 kinds of modifier errors that you are likely to encounter on the SAT. We have some common, sequences, patterns on the modifiers on the SAT out of experience. First, it could be the modifier plus comma plus the thing which is modified. So a popular guy, comma, his classmates offer. So definitely not a popular guy and his classmates. So incorrect. A popular guy, Ferris, correct. But then the formation of the sentence would be a modifier plus comma plus what is being modified. Prepositional phrases, as we have already said or already started as an error, that when we have a prepositional phrase and then a comma and then an independent clause, the independent clause subject has to be as close to the modifier as possible. Gerunds in the wrong place, or the verb plus ing form in the wrong place, right? So this is a very common error or common formation of modifier sentence error on the SAT. Let's look at this example. Janie sees Ferris driving home with her mom. Now this definitely it cannot be meeting Ferris driving home. So Janie driving home with her mom sees Ferris. So this is the correct way of presentation, and the modifier's placement could be in the middle of a sentence. Error could be in the middle of a sentence, wherein Ferris picked up Solan from the school dressed like her father. Who? Solan dressed like her father? No, Ferris was dressed like her father. So Ferris dressed like her father picked up Solan from the school to trick Mr. Rooney. So let's get to some examples. Having returned from the ocean to the stream where it was born, an adult salmon's life cycle ends where it spawns and dies. So looks like everything is correct, because having returned from the ocean to the stream where it was born, this is the modifier, and what is being modified is the adult salmon. So probably looks like everything is in place, but out here if you look closely, the whole subject is an adult salmon's life cycle, not really the salmon. But then so it is very, very evident now that having returned from the ocean to the stream, it cannot be the adult salmon's life cycle that returns from the ocean to the stream. It has got to the salmon. So this somehow or the other we need to break down this subject into the life cycle which is different and the adult salmon which is different. So let's see if we have split somewhere. No change, not a good option. An adult salmon spawns and dies completing its life cycle could be a possible answer, because we are now looking at the adult salmon completing its life cycle again is completely different. So could be the right answer. Spawning and death of an adult salmon completing its life cycle, no, not a good answer. The life cycle of an adult salmon is complete when it spawns and dies. Again, the life cycle becomes the subject and not the salmon. So this is again not a right answer. So the most logical answer to this one should be a B. Generated by seasonal storms far off the coast, surfers highly prize a large predictable set of waves that are created by winter swells. So generated by seasonal storms far off the coast. What? Are the surfers being generated? Definitely not. What is being generated? The winter swells, which is nothing but predictable set of waves. So either you have to write this one or this one out here, which is being generated. Either you call it the winter swells or a predictable set of waves, which is nothing but the winter swell. Right? So let's look at our options. No change, not a good option. The winter swells reach the shore as Raj predictable, yes, could be a possible answer. The shore causes, definitely not the shore that is being created. The winter, no, definitely not the winter. So most possible answer to this one has to be a B. Stay tuned. The next section will be on parallel construction of sentences or parallelism on the SAT.